The rain came down hard, slicing through the air like silver needles as thunder rolled across the darkened sky. The parking lot outside the old American diner was slick with reflections of neon lights, red, green, and orange flickering across a sea of black leather and chrome. The rumble of Harley engines filled the air, deep and menacing, as the Hells Angels gathered under the storm. They looked like the embodiment of danger, tattooed giants in black vests, heavy boots pounding the wet asphalt. But then, through the roar of thunder and motorcycles, came a sound none of them expected, the fragile, heart-wrenching cry of a little girl. Before we dive deeper into this powerful, true story of kindness where you least expect it, please take a second to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you believe the world still has room for compassion, second chances, and unexpected heroes. She was no more than 6 years old, wearing a soaked white dress that clung to her small frame, barefoot, trembling, and crying as she stumbled toward the bikers. Her tiny feet splashed in puddles as she ran straight into the middle of the intimidating group. One of the bikers, a towering man with tattoos crawling up his arms and a look that could freeze anyone in place, stepped forward, his leather boots crunching the wet gravel. His name was Bear, the kind of man whose very presence could silence a room. The other riders watched with hard eyes, their conversations fading into stunned silence as the little girl stopped in front of him, sobbing uncontrollably. Bear crouched down slowly, rain dripping from his beard, his gloved hand hesitating halfway between the ground and the child. She couldn't have looked more out of place, an angel lost in a den of wolves. Through her tears, she managed to stammer something between gasps for air. Please, help my mommy. She's not waking up." For a second, nobody moved. The world seemed to pause. Then Bear stood, turned sharply toward his crew, and barked, "Tank Crow, with me now!" The bikers sprang into action. The girl led them through the rain, her little hand gripping Bear's massive, tattooed fingers as tightly as she could. Behind them, a row of motorcycles revved to life, their headlights cutting through the downpour. They followed her down the road to an old beat-up car parked half in a ditch. The windshield was cracked, steam rising from the hood, and inside was a young woman slumped over the steering wheel. Bear ripped open the door, his heart pounding as he checked her pulse. "She's breathing," he muttered, "but she's out cold." Without hesitation, he scooped the woman into his arms and carried her back toward his bike. The girl ran beside him, shivering, terrified, and confused. When they got back to the diner, the others had already cleared tables and pushed chairs aside. One of the bikers, a former medic named Stitch, took charge, checking her vitals and wrapping her in a blanket. "Overdose, maybe?" he said quietly. "Could be exhaustion. She's dehydrated, starving, and she's been through hell." The little girl stood nearby, hugging herself, her teeth chattering as tears mixed with raindrops on her cheeks. Bear knelt down again, this time softer. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked, his rough voice lowering. "Lily," she whispered. "Mommy was trying to get us somewhere safe." Bear swallowed hard. He'd seen things in his life, fights, betrayals, brothers lost on the road, but nothing had ever hit him like that little girl's voice did. The hours that followed changed everything. The Hells Angels, known by many for chaos and rebellion, became protectors that night. They brought blankets, dry clothes, and hot food from the diner. They found an old teddy bear from one of their charity rides and handed it to Lily, who clutched it like it was the only safe thing left in her world. When her mother woke up, dazed and weak, she broke down upon realizing what had happened. She explained through tears that they'd been running from an abusive partner, living out of their car for weeks. The storm had forced her off the road and exhaustion had taken her consciousness. She never thought anyone would stop to help, especially not a biker gang. Bear sat quietly for a moment before saying something that silenced the room. "You're safe now. You and the kid, no one's touching you again." He meant it. The Angels used their connections to get the woman medical care and helped her find a local shelter that could protect her long term. Over the next few days, they checked in, brought groceries, even fixed up her car for free. For a group feared by many, their actions spoke louder than 1,000 rumors. But what none of them expected was how Lily changed them. That night at the diner became a story that spread through their chapter like wildfire. Bear, who had once been hardened by years on the road, found himself smiling again when he saw her drawings she made for them. Scribbled pictures of bikers with angel wings, standing in the rain beside a little girl in a white dress. The men who had built walls around their hearts from years of loss and regret started volunteering for charity rides, donating to shelters, and mentoring kids from broken homes. They realized that the toughest battles aren't always fought with fists or engines. They're fought within, in the quiet corners of the soul where kindness has to claw its way back through pain. The Hell's Angels, those rugged riders of rebellion, had rediscovered their humanity through the tears of a little girl who had nothing left but hope. Months later, the woman found steady work in a small apartment. Lily was enrolled in school, smiling, drawing, and laughing again. One sunny afternoon, Bear and a few of the riders visited her. They parked their bikes outside her building, engines rumbling like thunder announcing a storm. But this time, it was a storm of love. Lily ran out with her little backpack, hugging Bear's leg tight. "Mommy says you're our angels," she said. Bear chuckled softly, his eyes glistening. "Guess sometimes even devils get to wear wings, kiddo." That night, as they rode off into the sunset, the reflection of the fading light danced across the chrome of their bikes. The road stretched ahead, long, uncertain, and beautiful. Behind them was a small apartment window glowing with warmth and gratitude. Ahead was another chapter waiting to be written, another chance to do right in a world that often got it wrong. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that goodness can come from the most unexpected places, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's spread more stories of compassion that restore faith in humanity. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What does kindness mean to you when no one's watching? Because sometimes all it takes is a storm, a cry for help, and the courage of unlikely heroes to prove that even the hardest hearts can still do something extraordinary.